Good morning, especially if you're a beleaguered freedom fighter in Hong Kong. You can now work at Goldman Sachs, Citibank, UBS, and other major moneymakers, which are beefing up their activities on your island. They'll, of course, be ignoring human rights abuses in case you miss a day or two at work. Continue on, shall we? Joe Biden has amended Trump's ban on U.S. investments in Chinese companies, bringing the number of forbidden firms with ties to China's military up to 59. The original Trump list included Huawei, China Mobile, China Unicom, and many more. Techs took the Nasdaq down yesterday to the tune of 0.03. Other benchmarks following as inflation pushes Treasury yields, which lift the dollar, making U.S. goods more expensive. The greenback actually soared 50 cents past all resistance on its way up to 90.57 this overnight, after the ADP showed a 300K plus increase in non-farm employment yesterday. Initial jobless claims are down 20K, but the continuing number continues to rise as U.S. employees find it hard to fill jobs. That's thanks to unemployment checks and a dearth of childcare solutions. Finally, the Department of Justice is raising the priority level of ransomware to the same as that on acts of terror. Remember, at noon today, Greenwich time, the U.S.'s monthly NFP report alongside Canada's unemployment. U.S. factory orders will be in at 2 alongside Canada's IVPMI. And just as President Biden lowers his administration's demand for a global minimum corporate tax to 15%, that's to please his Republican partners, the G7 are set to meet today in London to close that deal between nations. European equities closed down for the day despite a good day thanks to increasing energy shares and excellent improvements in composite and service PMIs throughout the continent. Even the UK registered a one-tick improvement in both indicators. Britain sorely needs some good news, especially following this morning's Reuters report of the G20's bank regulating coordinator calling for an end to the London interbank offered interest rate, LIBOR, which until a set of scandals undermined it, ruled the globe's banking industries. Futures are not looking good for the DAX this morning, even though the technicals call for further upside. The RSI still has a bit to go, and those drops below the moving average don't seem to last. On the other hand, sentiment on the volumes shows most spikes to be red, and the news from U.S. bond yields rising can't be good. That sort of thing spreads. In a couple of hours, the EU will publish retail sales for April. Then ECB President Lagarde will be speaking at 11 GMT. China and Australasia are up this morning on U.S. inflation. The Nikkei down 0.33%. Taiwan's weighted index down 0.2%. The yuan continues down now. It's at a 2-week low, while the yen added a tiny tick after last night's 13% year-on-year improvement in Japanese household spending for April. Cryptos continued down after the UK's FCA regulator said that most crypto firms do not comply with anti-money laundering and terror financing regulations, but also on some more tweets from Elon Musk to commemorate their breaking up. Oil fell back slightly from its highest level since October 2018 as a strengthening dollar eased dollar-priced commodities. Saudi Arabia has even raised prices for Asian customers after OPEC Plus said it would increase production to meet post-recovery demand. With our RSI pretty much neutral, we can see a clear wedge forming towards 68.50, and while the fundamentals call for further upside, we do have a strengthening dollar to contend with and increased production. So as optimistic as OPEC Plus are, we've seen during the past year that bond yields have a way of hurting extensively. Baker Hughes will weigh in on active oil rigs at 5 GMT. At least we'll get an idea of producer sentiment. Reuters this morning once again reports on a global surge in mergers and acquisitions, $1.3 trillion worth in the U.S. alone. Meanwhile, Tesla admits that new orders in China dropped by about 50% this past month. AMC plunged yesterday after completing another share offering, which brought in well over $500 million. And Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun said yesterday China-U.S. tensions could impinge upon his company's recovery due to supply chain disruptions. Finally, City AM reports that Amazon will be the UK's largest retailer by 2025. I guess that's news. In earnings, Slack revenues for Q1 were up 36% to $273 million, and Broadcom made $6.61 billion. That's a 15% hike in revenues year on year. Marvel is up Monday for you comics lovers. That's it for today. 9 more days to go before Joe meets the Queen at Windsor, June 13. Biden will be the Queen's 12th president, that is, and will be there not.